All right, let's get into it. Over the next few minutes, we're essentially giving your business a full physical. We're going to decode its digital DNA to figure out what's really working, what isn't, and then map out a plan to get your company into peak condition. So let's get started.
It really all boils down to this one single question. And I bet it's a feeling you know well. That constant battle with clunky software, wrestling with spreadsheets for hours, and just wondering, is all this tech actually helping us, or is it just a really expensive anchor holding us back?
So how do you get some clarity? Well, the path there doesn't start with just buying more software. Not at all. It starts with a proper diagnosis. We're talking about a discovery process that's kind of like a doctor's intake form, but for your entire organization. It uncovers all those hidden issues simply by asking the right questions. So our little health check here unfolds in 4 main parts. First up, we're going to identify the symptoms that are holding you back. Then we'll examine your core digital vitals, the real tech stuff. After that, we'll diagnose the human impact, which is huge. And finally, we'll write the prescription for a much healthier digital future.
Okay, part 1. Every good diagnosis has to start by understanding the patient's complaints. In the world of business, those complaints are the pain points, the roadblocks, and all those strategic headaches that are probably keeping leaders up at night.
It's actually pretty simple. Before you can fix anything, you have to define what healthy even means for you. That's exactly why this process starts with your core business goals. Are you trying to grow market share, improve customer retention, maybe just get more efficient? Whatever it is, your technology has to serve these goals, not the other way around. So, once you know your destination, the next logical step is to figure out what's blocking the road. Is it some painfully slow manual process? A strategic blind spot you didn't know you had? This part of the assessment really forces an honest look at the real-world friction happening inside your business.
And this question right here, this highlights a classic symptom of poor digital health. If your leadership team is basically flying blind, making big decisions based on outdated reports or just gut feelings, that is a major red flag. Lacking real-time data is like a patient who doesn't even know their own blood pressure. It's that critical.
All right, now we get to the core examination. This is where we break out the digital stethoscope, so to speak, and really take the temperature of your software. We are checking the digital vital signs of the company.
And the very first vital sign is always cost. How much money is the current tech stack actually costing the business every single year when you add up all the licenses and maintenance? This number, let me tell you, is often way bigger and more surprising than people think, and it sets the baseline for everything else we look at.
But that total cost, that's only half the story. The real question we need to ask is, what's the actual value you're getting for that money? This process digs into what percentage of your software's features are really being used. That gap you see between what you pay for and what you use, well, that's just pure waste. And all that waste creates something we can call the tech graveyard. You'll find 2 kinds of ghosts hanging around in here. First, there are the software modules you're licensed for but have never, ever even turned on. And second, and this one might be even worse, are the systems you spent all that time and money to implement but your team has completely abandoned.
Finally, the diagnostic takes an inventory of every major system and asks the people who use them day in and day out a very simple question. On a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you? A low score, like that 2 for the CRM you see here, isn't just a number. It's a huge warning sign that you've got a tool that's creating more frustration than value, and it's costing your team time and maybe even losing you business. So we've looked at the tech, but technology doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? A system is only as good as the people and the processes that surround it. So for this next part of the diagnosis, we're going to shift our focus to the human side of the equation.
I mean, come on, how many of us have heard this exact quote? This perfectly captures a critical data point we look for: resistance to new systems. If your team is suffering from change fatigue, it truly does not matter how great a new technology is, it's going to fail. Understanding that resistance is absolutely crucial. And this, oh boy, this visual captures a classic problem we call the spreadsheet spiral. You know how it goes? Someone enters data by hand, then they email it for approval. Then you wait. Then you find errors. Then you correct them. And by the time you have a final report, it's already out of date. This is exactly where good technology should be stepping in to help.
You can't just prescribe a really complex treatment to a patient who isn't ready for it. It's the same idea here. That's why assessing the overall digital literacy of your staff is so important. Are they actually ready for a major change? Or do they need training and support first? The answer to that question determines the pace and the nature of any successful transformation.
So much of this really just comes down to alignment. When the business strategy team and the IT team are making big decisions in totally separate rooms, you get systems that just don't meet real-world needs. The assessment asks how often these groups are truly on the same page. And, the answer is often, rarely. Okay, we've identified the symptoms, we've checked the vitals, and we've understood the human factors. So now it's time for the treatment plan. This is where all that data we gathered gets turned into a clear, actionable path forward.
A good doctor always anticipates complications. By asking about the biggest barriers right up front, whether that's budget, a lack of skilled people, or just cultural resistance to change, you can design a transformation plan to overcome these hurdles from day one instead of being blindsided by them later on.
And this right here, this is the payoff for the entire process. All those answers from the discovery are analyzed and synthesized into what we call a digital opportunity report. But this isn't just a list of your problems. No, it's a real prescription that includes immediate quick wins, clear areas to cut costs, and a long-term strategic roadmap. This roadmap provides a really clear vision for the future. It's a phased journey. You start with those high-impact quick wins to build momentum before moving on to bigger foundational changes like automation and migrating to the cloud. And the final stage builds toward advanced capabilities like real-time analytics. It's a concrete path from sick to healthy.
So, after walking through this entire health check, let's bring it all back to you. I want you to think about your own organization. What is that one nagging symptom, that one broken process, that data blind spot, that piece of clunky software that deep down you simply can't afford to ignore any longer?